Right guys, I know it's been a long time since I was doing this last, but we are back on with fitting the engine back in this. The engine came out after it had only done I think 120 miles after having a full rebuild, and the reason why the engine messed up is that the injectors were causing it to run lean, so it created so much heat inside the piston, because diesel, as well as being a fuel, is also a lubricant and a coolant, as daft as it sounds. And so I think it was 680 for the reboring of one bore, including a new piston, etc., fitting. So you think that were bad enough? When it comes to the price of the injectors, now Marcus, my brother-in-law, has had all 5 rebuilt, and some of them were 30% lower than what they should have been. As I'm talking, I might as well have the camera this way. Yeah, as I say, some of them were 30% lower than what they should have been. So now they've all been redone, they've all been tested, they're all bang on what they should be. We shouldn't have any more problems. But yeah, we'll wait and see. Right, so far I haven't filmed the right lot, but we've just put the dual mass flywheel back on, put the clutch on, now we're putting the exhaust manifold on, hopefully fitting the turbo, because trying to fit it in the engine bay is a pain in the backside, and we'll see how we go from here. So yeah, keep smiling. Right, today's mission, if I choose to accept it. Yesterday we got the exhaust manifold off. Now the turbo bolts on through the 4 bolts at the top, and then it attaches to the engine block. So your oil feed and return are straight through the engine block, so there's no no oil lines to split, and the single-use gaskets, which is fun because we just put a load on last time the engine got rebuilt. But hey ho. Right, today's problem, we've got to get this in there, but this bar at the front sits too low to just slide the engine under, so we're having to go in from the side because the chassis legs are higher, and obviously because we've got that bar there, we can't use the engine hoist to get it straight in. I'll be honest, if it was me, which it's not, I would have been tempted to cut the ends off here and that side and weld the thing back in after, but it's not mine, and to a certain degree it would look a mess, so I grant you on that one. So the plan is, the engine's on the wooden board to protect the sump. We're going to turn the engine around and then hopefully drag it across using that little hand jack ratchet jobby thing, and I've basically got at that end an old cam belt round either tree that I've anchored it to, because there's 2 trees there. Then I put a loop to link them all together, and then I put it on there, therefore spreading the load, because knowing my luck, they're only little conifers, and I'd end up dragging them up and pulling the wall up outside and dragging the path up. So there we go. It's alright, I've just had somebody look at me as I walk past the garden gate, if they say, "What are you doing? You oddball." But there we go, that's life. So, none of that I'm going to be able to record probably. So, we'll see if we get it in. Well, lovely, smashing, super great, as somebody might say. Got one problem solved. It's now under there, and technically we can get the engine hoist onto it. However, we've got to get the engine hoist over the board, and the legs on the engine hoist aren't wide enough to go around the engine and gearbox. So, for all the good intentions we've got, we're either going to have to block it up a bit at a time, or get the engine hoist as close as we can and hope that we can take some pressure off. But yeah, the legs aren't wide enough to go on that engine and gearbox. This is why most people do this job on a 4-post lift. But it's not the first time we've had it in and out, so let's just go for it. Well, here I am, all bedraggled. The engine's in the engine bay, and we've been starting putting stuff in, and I've not been filming it. So, quick shout out to Sharon Lewis. She'll know exactly what I'm getting at. And here we are. So Marcus, my brother-in-law, has just been putting the housing, which is the oil filter, and it's also a heat exchange. And when I say heat exchange, there's water and oil that go into that housing. Of course, they don't mix, they're in separate parts. And that's on. Starter motor's on. And fuel oil level sensor is on. Crank angle sensor is in. Hydraulic clutch pipe on, which is a pain in the backside to do, because if you don't get it lined up exactly, you end up spending all your time fighting it. Gear linkage. Right. Usually these are that covered in oil you can't see. But if you ever come across one of these on a T5, where my thumb is there, you literally push the pin back and they lift off. Which again, if you don't know that, because now I'm not pushing against the pin, it's on solid. But as I say, usually they're that caked in oil you can't see them. And it's the same with the other one. So yeah, they're really easy to take on and off. So, now, this is the fuel rail. And in the end of this fuel rail, you have like little tubes that come out, which are in that box. But before I put the fuel rail back on, I've got to replace all the oil rings and put fresh on. So that's about where I'm at. Or, well, I say I'm at. Of course, it's not my van, I'm just helping out. But we're getting there. So, for now, love you and leave you, and we'll see you later.